Good morning. Don had some questions this morning about using WebEx Training as opposed to just WebEx. So I thought the easiest way to do this would be to share just a quick video and walk you through it, and I think you'll find this useful. So what I'm going to do is log into WebEx, and this is with the new WebEx setup that Axway just installed last night. So it's a little bit different than the old version. So I'll show it to you here. I'm going to log in. And before, when you logged into WebEx, it would take you directly into the WebEx menus. Well, now you got a little bit different splash screen. You'll see off to the right you have the little hamburger menu, and under that you have the option to choose WebEx site menus, and that's really where you want to jump off from. Once you do that, if you've got an account that includes WebEx Training, you'll have this additional Training Center tab across the top of your WebEx session. And when I go to Training Center, this is where you go in, and I demonstrated this before. To schedule training, you can set up a class. If you've already set up the class, then it will show up here under today or upcoming, wherever you're at, and you just click start, and that will launch it. For this demo, I haven't set up a class, so I'm going to just do instant session instead. And I'm going to give this session a name, WebEx Training Demo, and I'm going to set the password to training, all lowercase. All of the instructors have always set the password to training, all lowercase, and that's good in case another instructor, or in the past Bob Cree or whoever, wanted to jump in on a session to see what was going on, or another trainer needed to come in and take over the class and you hadn't sent them the invitation or something. They can go into their WebEx training, see that in the list of sessions, join it, and they know the password already because we always set it to training. So now I'm going to start the session, and that will launch the WebEx session. Once it's launched, then what we're going to use is multiple panels here, kind of a reverse of the look in Outlook. You have the smaller panels off on the right-hand side and the large panel on the left-hand side, sort of the way, sort of a mirror image of what you would see in Windows Explorer or something like that. But on the left-hand side is your WebEx training session itself. On the right-hand side, you've got the participants panel at the top, so you can see all of the different students that are in class, whether their microphones are connected, whether they're muted or not. You can also select individuals in there and make them presenter if you ever needed to for whatever reason. Down below that, you have the chat list, and you can then select an individual to chat with privately, or you can chat with all participants. The students don't have the option of choosing those unless you add those privileges, and that's something you can't set by default. You have to enable at the beginning of class each day, and that's typically what you're going to want to do when you first start the WebEx session. One of the first things I do is try to remember to go to Participants, Assign Privileges, and then I select everything, and then go back and unselect Send Video, because I don't want them sending video from their web camera, and I don't want them also recording the sessions, because you don't want a student to record the training and then share it with other people in their organization rather than pay for a seat in a class and have those other people come. So you're not going to give those additional people free training. And then I say okay. That will allow them in chat to chat individually with each other privately, and you want that because if during a session where they're doing an exercise, you assign student 1 to transfer a file to student 2, you want them to be able to chat and not have to unmute themselves and have all of the students trying to talk over each other and coordinating things. You want them to be able to coordinate things privately in chat, and you have to enable that under the participant menu. So make sure you do that. That will also allow them to select the different tabs that you set up in the WebEx session so that they don't have to be looking at necessarily the same thing you are. Now, when you want to share a PowerPoint presentation, there's several different ways you can do it. One way is you can open PowerPoint as an application in Windows, and then you can share your desktop and then make that PowerPoint full screen and go through the slide presentation that way, the way you would typically do it. The drawback to that is the students are stuck on the slide you're on. They can't go back in the slide deck. They can't go forward in the slide deck. The other option is to say share an application and then just point to the PowerPoint application that you've got running and share your slides that way. You can do it either way, but again, either of those options, they're stuck on the same slide you are. The third option, and the one that I recommend and that I prefer, is to share the PowerPoint as a file. When you share it as a file, you can then go in, and what you're going to do is you're going to upload the PowerPoint right into the WebEx session. And this is only uploaded for this session. You'll have to turn around and do it again tomorrow and do it again the next day, each individual one. But you can share it that way. As those are loading, as that slide deck is loading, I'm going to also go back and say I want to share a whiteboard, because I always want to have a whiteboard available to me that allows me to draw on just like you would in class. So I'm going to say change colors here, draw a couple of boxes, add in here ST01, ST02, then I can also use the pointer to talk about transferring a file between 01 and 02. I can change colors to highlighting, and I can highlight what I want and demonstrate it that way as well. The third thing that I always share is another file, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in and share that worksheet that I showed you. Now you can share it one of two ways. You can share a docx file or a PDF file, or I can also share the JPEG file if you just take a screenshot or a snippet of that object. It shows up. The difference is the doc file gives you a lot more white space around it. I don't like that as much, so I always just clip what I want and then share that. And in this worksheet, I've also taken the time at the bottom to include the training server IP address, because the students will need that in class. And if they have any problems with WebEx or they have any problems with ReadyTech, I've included the support numbers down at the bottom where they can get direct support to them. Generally, if they're having a problem connecting to the ReadyTech image, if you can't solve it right away, you don't want to spend a lot of time with a student trying to connect to ReadyTech when you've got all the other students sitting back waiting for you to give them the training. So easiest way is just refer them to have them call ReadyTech, and a ReadyTech support technician can get them connected to the ReadyTech image a lot quicker than you can. So if you can't solve it right away, refer them to it, and you've got the numbers right there. So now that I've got this loaded, I can go through this, and while I'm going through the slide presentation and presenting that, you also have the ability to see who raises their hand over on the right-hand side, any chat that's going on, and they're seeing the slide that you're on. Because I've enabled all of those privileges in the Assign Privileges option, they can go backward and forward and look back in the slide deck, look forward in the slide deck, and then they can also resync with the slide that I'm on at the same time. And down at the bottom, you can also, from the view as the instructor, you can say sync the display for all students. So that way, whatever slide you're on, or if you're on the whiteboard, or you're displaying the student worksheet, you can pull them all back into exactly what you're seeing. Otherwise, they have the options with the permissions to look at a different tab than you're on. They can look at a different slide than you're on, but they also have the resync option that'll take them right back to where they were from the beginning. Now, if they go full screen mode, which you can do also, that'll allow them to view the slide full screen, and all of those individual panes are available still from the drop down here, so they can go back and they can change to a different slide than you're on. They can also see the participants and bring that up, and you can as well, and the chat window, but they're individual because the slide is full screen. As an instructor presenting, I don't like to show it full screen that way. I like to stay in this 3-pane view, and it's up to the students how they want to view it. They can view it in this view also, or they can view the slide full screen and have the other panes minimized as part of that toolbar across the top. Those are the options in WebEx Training Center. I thought it would be easier to just show it to you this way than it would be to hold a WebEx session and have both of you join. So thought you'd find this useful. Thought I would record it instead of just do a session and hold it.